The movie opens up with a brief information about the First World War, where Serbia suffered a devastating loss. It is mentioned that more than 2/3 of its male population perished during the battle, and the women who survived were left to pick up the pieces and start new lives as best they could. However, this also meant that many small towns were left with few or no men at all. The scene then shifts to a small town named Pokirp, which is filled with beautiful women. There is only a single male representative through the whole town, and that too, he is very old. One day, two sisters, Ognjenka and Boginja, are seen playing around the pond next to the cemetery. Jenka is the responsible sibling, and she suggests that they head home and avoid the cursed pond due to the legend that surrounds it. However, Boginja, being the carefree one, walks towards the pond without a care in the world. According to the legend, their great-grandmother cried by the pond for 7 days and 7 nights when her husband did not return from the war. Her tears made the pond so salty that even sea animals started living in it. After a week of mourning, she swore to toughen her heart like a stone and became the best wailer on the mountain. Wailers are women hired to cry at funerals, a tradition that has been passed down through generations in this family, which the sisters are also a part of. In Pokirp, if a boy is as tall as a rifle, he is considered ready for war. However, with so few men left in the village, and with the meager number of deaths nowadays, the family business is slowly becoming worthless. Following this, we are informed that only 2 men have ever returned to Pokirp from the war, but sadly, both died soon after. The first was crushed by a gravestone, and it is unclear whether his death was accidental or due to his wife's anger over his infidelity. Whew, rest in peace. And the second man, who knew that he could not defend the village of women by himself, set up a minefield in the vineyard. However, he did not mark the positions of the mines, and died after stepping on one of them. The vineyard is the main source of income for the villagers, but after the second man left a dangerous minefield beneath, the women who remained have renamed it as Mineyard. Since then, the group of women draw straws to see who will be the next person to pick the grapes. Sadly, most of the time, they are unsuccessful as the mines explode and blow them up to smithereens. I cannot tell if this is a comedy or a drama. One morning, the sisters are approached by Neda, a young girl who wants to hire their crying services in advance, since she has drawn the short straw and is going to the mineyard next. However, as she has to pay in advance, she asks the sisters to give her a demonstration of their wailing performance. The two immediately agree and start their sample performance. However, Jenka has trouble wailing because her customer is still alive. She tries to think of sad things to make herself cry, but nothing seems to work. In one of her memories, she recalls the day her friend Sanja got married, but was immediately separated from her husband and left mute by the war. To help her, her sister Boginja reminds her that she's turning 22 soon, but has yet to find the love, and with the lack of men in this village, it's unlikely she ever will. Luckily, this unusual thought brings both sisters to tears. It won't bring me to tears, though. It won't. Meanwhile, Neda reveals that she kissed a man once, an old man named Grandpa Bisa, the only remaining male in the village. While the sisters are disgusted by this, Neda explains that she'd rather experience her first time with an old man than never at all. However, Grandpa Bisa is growing increasingly ill, and the famous village witch also cannot do much to help. In the evening, Neda and the sisters venture to the local bar, where the women of the village gather to indulge in drinks and attempt to forget their sorrows. In the bar, a famous band named Ratija's Band plays melancholic funeral tunes, which do little to lift anyone's spirits. However, Neda has made up her mind to make the most of her remaining time, and implores the bartender to serve the potent spider brandy instead of the usual cheap drinks. As a result, every woman starts having vivid hallucinations of the deceased men who have left a void in their lives. The following day, before going into the minefield, Neda tells the sisters that she has arranged for them to have some fun with Grandpa Bisa. Moments later, she enters the minefield, steps on one, and dies in the blast. Next, the curious sisters visit Bisa's hut, but neither of them is willing to go in first. In an attempt to begin the process, Boginja pushes Jenka onto the bed with the old man. Unfortunately, when Bisa appears close to her face, it causes her to freak out and scream, unintentionally giving him a fatal heart attack. His heart does not beat again, and he dies on the spot. Not a bad way to go, all things considered. As a result of their actions, the sisters are condemned to be burned at the stake. They are tied together and placed near a fire. Boginja, desperate to avoid death, proposes a condition and promises to bring back a better man than Bisa within 3 days. The village witch agrees, but she makes sure to curse the sisters, saying that if they fail to do so, their great-grandmother's soul will rot in a place worse than hell. That's right, we talking about Burger King. In the next scene, the sisters embark on a challenging quest to find a man, but their search proves to be much harder than they expected. On their way, the first man they encounter belongs to a female-only town, where the women fiercely guard him and scare the sisters away. The second man turns out to be a woman disguised as a man, attempting to join the army to help with repopulation. Finally, they arrive at the city, and are surprised to see the men from their hallucinations there. Janka finds herself smitten with Dragol Jub, a daring circus performer known as the Man of Steel, who wows audiences with his cannon launches. As soon as their eyes meet, they feel a spark of attraction, and Drago offers to take Janka on a flying adventure, a stunt he usually reserves for paying customers. In the meantime, Boginja is drawn to Arsa, a charming singer who captivates the hearts of all the girls in the city with his smooth voice. As Janka and Drago soar through the air, their bond grows stronger, but their flight ends in a plunge into a nearby lake. Drago struggles to stay afloat, but Janka rescues him and revives him with mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Impressed by her courage and quick thinking, Drago offers her a position as his assistant. Meanwhile, after being surrounded by a group of women, Arsa makes a bold declaration. He announces that whoever catches the red rose thrown into the pool will be his queen. And so, the women frantically fight to grab the flower, with Boginja managing to emerge victorious. As everyone is distracted by the commotion, Drago makes his escape in a car along with Janka. He also summons Arsa to join him, implying that they know each other. Soon, Boginja also gets into the car, and they set off on their new journey. As the four of them travel together, it becomes apparent that Janka and Drago have a strong connection, while Arsa is not interested in Boginja's advances. The group makes a pit stop to change out of their wet clothes, and Arsa finally becomes attracted to Boginja when he sees her in a semi-nude state. The next moment, they start making out, and so the other couple gets into the car and drives away. On their way, they run into some trouble as Janka's hair gets stuck in the door. Despite her attempts to convince Drago to not go back to Pokerp, he is eager to see a town full of women and experience the beauty. Meanwhile, Boginja manages to convince Arsa to ditch Drago and escape to Belgrade, where they can find fame together. However, during their getaway, they accidentally steal a hearse with a deceased body inside. Along the way to Pokirp, Janka manages to persuade Drago to share some stories about Belgrade, including the upcoming palace Albania, a towering structure that dreams are made of. Drago mentions that he hopes to perform his circus act from the top of the tower someday. Although Janka considers going to Belgrade again, she feels guilty for not keeping her promise to her people. So they stick to their plan and head to Pokirp, where the women draw straws to decide their chores for the day, and Sanja is the unfortunate one. However, their work is disrupted by the unexpected arrival of Janka and Drago. At first, the women mistake Drago for an illusion, but they soon realize that he's real, and they swarm around him with excitement, except for a tired Sanja. While Drago relishes in the attention, Janka cannot help but feel jealous. Later, they utilize Drago's circus skills to safely collect grapes. He pedals a bicycle on ropes across the mineyard, while Janka is tethered to him, effortlessly grabbing the fruit without having to touch the ground. As night descends, everyone revels in making wine the traditional way, by stomping on the grapes in a large bucket. Drago happily joins in the party, while Sanja watches him from a distance. Meanwhile, the witch keeps her promise, and allows the soul of the sister's great-grandmother to rest in peace. However, Janka begins to feel lonely and frustrated, because everyone else seems to have what they want, except her. But her thoughts are interrupted by the arrival of Boginja, who has come back to help. In the next scene, as the sisters head to the bar, they find Drago having fun with other women. This infuriates Janka, and in a fit of jealousy, she hits him in the groin, before declaring to everyone that he belongs to her, and that they're leaving for Belgrade. Unfortunately, the women merely laugh at her and continue with their celebrations. When nothing works, Janka takes a daring step by boldly kissing Drago. She then confesses her love for him and urges him to leave with her. However, Sanja, who has been yearning for a kiss from Drago ever since her wedding day was ruined, becomes envious and also plants a kiss on him, disregarding his explanation that he can only kiss Janka. After some time, Arsa also arrives there, and the women immediately surround him. This time, it's Boginja's turn to feel envious. Arsa quickly drinks some spider brandy and requests the band band to play some music so that he can dance with Boginja on top of the table. But things turn violent when Ratija also desires to dance with Arsa, leading to a scuffle between her and Boginja, which leaves their feet bleeding from the broken glass. Drago grows weary of the spectacle and flips the table, putting an end to it all. After this, a bitter argument between the men ensues, and the women suggest that the best way to determine who is the better man is through their bedroom skills. Drago agrees, but Jenka hurls a glass at his head, revealing her possessiveness and envy. The following day, Drago wakes up to find Sanja hovering over him, trying to get closer. She confronts him about his macho behavior and reminds him that it's okay to let go of his pride. However, deep down, she knows that Drago is committed to another woman. So, after a bit of consideration, she kisses him one last time and sends him off to be with his true love. Next, as the sisters leave for Belgrade in their car, Drago tries to follow them. However, they angrily ram him with their vehicle for all the problems he's caused as of late. Arsa, on the other hand, tries to escape from the women, waiting to spend time with him, and accidentally ends up in the dangerous mine yard. Just when it appears as if he is going to die, the sisters arrive, and Boginja steps up to rescue him from the minefield. Before she sets out, she bids her sister an emotional farewell, urging her to continue her way to Belgrade and live a full life. With a red rose, the same one Arsa threw on the day they first met, pinned to her chest, Boginja then moves towards her beloved, and they share a passionate kiss. The villagers watch in awe as the two lovers dance in a beautiful and moving choreographed display, unaware of the mines detonating all around them. They move in perfect harmony until the final deadly mine blast takes them both. Devastated, Jenka gets into her car and drives out of the village. She remembers that her sister had bathed in the cursed pond and believes that it was the cause of her untimely demise. However, the sun is shining brightly, symbolizing a hopeful future, and she begins to imagine the life that Draco had described to her. The movie ends on a hopeful note, with Jenka dancing to a lively rhythm. As she twirls and spins, she knows that she is ready to start a new chapter in her life, leaving the past behind and embracing the possibilities of the future. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.